Escaping Alcatraz, A History of the Island Prison Breakouts. Author and former resident Jolene Babyak joins us to tell the tales. I'm Lawrence Coletti, and this is Legal Talk Today. Welcome back, listeners. I have a fun show for you today. And as you heard in the opener, we're going to be talking about Alcatraz, the history of the island and a history of the escapes. And who better to tell us about that but an author on the subject? She's written a few books about Alcatraz, and she also used to live on the island. Jolene Babyak, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite, San Francisco is one of my favorite cities to visit, and I just really look forward to our travels when we get to go there. And I visited Alcatraz a couple of times. I've taken, the audio tour, and I've walked around the island. I was there when they were doing some big art show there, and I got to see some of the, some of the buildings you don't always get to see. I got to see the medical wing and all that. But, it's such a fascinating island. It's got a lot of mystique to it. But you grew up there, and obviously I'm assuming that one of your parents worked for the prison, and you lived on the island. And I know from the tours that where you live was very close to the cell blocks on an island that's not very big. What was that like?
Well, in atmosphere, it was a lot like living on a military base, insofar as there were places where you couldn't go, and just about everybody outranked you. So,
Right.
I arrived as a 7-year-old, so everybody did outrank me, including most of the kids.
I was going to ask you about that, if there's some areas off limits, but obviously you have some very dangerous criminals living there that are serving, some of them, life sentences. And so what were your parents concerned about that? Or were they just kind of, because they knew their work, they weren't so worried, they figured they'd be the first to know if somebody busted out?
Oh, well, if somebody busted out, there was a siren and everybody knew it at once. I suppose they did worry about that. They didn't translate that to me. I didn't get the feeling that they were worried, but I'm sure that they must have had some sleepless nights, but they didn't tell that to me. So
Was it like a fire drill? Did y'all have like a just sort of a family fire drill? If you hear these alarms, you come to the house. How did that work?
there were signs all over the island in the residential area telling you what to do if you heard a certain sound. You were to go in your house immediately, lock the doors, and stay there. And most of the escape attempts took place when kids were at school in San Francisco, because they were usually daylight escape attempts. There were
Oh,
some that were
interesting.
at night. So, and I never heard the siren when I was outside. So, but there were signs all over.